Welcome back to another episode of the Post Plan Podcast brought to you by Bitcoin Casino.vip. Today's guest is the wonderful Asian expert, Bleh. You've got rid of that term over the last few years now, but we're bringing you back in to talk about some Asian Counter-Strike because we just had Chengdu. But how are you doing, Bleh?
I'm doing great. Just watching a lot of Counter-Strike, and but Asian Counter-Strike just keeps you dragging you back, right? And we saw, Tyloo, Lin Vision, and everything. So yeah, I'm okay with being called the Asian guy. It's okay. I'm fine.
What's going on with the region right now, Bleh? It seems like it's shit the bed. They were doing so well at the start of the year. They were looking so promising.
Starting strong.
Yeah. Got a tournament win under their belt, won a Fisher playground, and now they can't seem to win a bloody game even on home soil. Can we just get the TLDR? What's happened?
That's kind of. I mean, if you're talking about the Mongols, can't forget the Mongols. Obviously, the entire.
Yeah, but they've replaced their star player. That's what I mean. The whole region just seemed to have kind of shit the bed.
That's because you can't have good things in life, Hank.
Okay.
It's always you always got to keep. If the circumstances aren't keeping us down, it's like the teams themselves doing it to themselves, right? So it's kind of weird. Look, when it comes to Chengdu, I don't want to read too much into it. I feel like obviously very unforgiving format, right? Like it's a double elim, you lose two, you're out. And then for Tyloo, they played Falcons, who obviously much better team right now. I think the loss to Pain was a bit of a, I wouldn't say a shocker, but a bit of a disappointment. But I don't think I'd completely count on Tyloo yet. But for Lin Vision, I feel like this is a plateau, right? Like this is what they are going to be at for the foreseeable future. And, maybe a couple of changes could hopefully shake things up. Maybe a couple of new players from Rare Atom perhaps getting picked up. But apart from that, yeah, it does feel like the initial burst of surprises from some of the Asian teams is kind of tapered off a little bit right now.
This feels like the best period of time for Asian CS, though. Like this year, obviously, major final for Mongols, winning Tier 1 event. But for you, Bleh, you were there kind of at the beginning. There were some different eras of good Asian Counter-Strike, but what would be the sort of second best in history in terms of a run from an Asian team?
Second best. I mean,
right? 1.6, right?
Yeah. Like the best until the Mongols this year has to be the Koreans, right? The South Koreans. Obviously, we had like in 2004 and 5, we had WNV. Players like Jungle, Sakula, TB. Like
that's where the term jungle comes from on Mirage.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There we go. I'm not sure actually. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, there we go. So, just legend right there, right? And then of course we had the South Koreans. We had Project KR, Project Korea, and we had another team called Lunatic High. So they had kind of like a couple of members who swapped, if memory serves me right. But it was the core of Solo, Tommy, Bale, Perry, and I forget who the fifth player was. That was the team, right? They won at least 1 or 2 world championships, majors, I guess you can call it, although it was 1.6. They were competing and beating the Fanatics, the MTWs, the complexities of that time as well. So they were the best team easily. Solo was the greatest, Counter-Strike player from Asia until what the Mongols pulled off this year, making 2 back-to-back major playoffs, making the finals of Austin, winning EWC, reaching the finals of multiple events. I think Mongols now, I think it's kind of undeniable, especially considering, the level of competition we have right now. They are the number 1. But the number 2 has to be South Koreans, which is kind of sad because we have no South Koreans playing Counter-Strike at the moment.
Yeah, the last one just retired recently as well.
I mean, like,
he's still there.
Valorant has taken most of the Asian players away from us, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's one of the... I've been one of the people who enjoy kind of the hands-off approach from Valve when it comes to a lot of aspects of Counter-Strike, because, if you think about it, it's been around for 25 years, and there's a reason why, the community kind of self-polices and does a pretty good job of itself. But I really do wish that Valve did, kind of take a leaflet from Riot's book and maybe push a little bit more, especially towards South Korea, Japan, even Southeast Asia, man, right? Because right now, you play and face it. It's not that many players, the same players you play again and again and again, even though there is a pretty solid casual scene still, it's nowhere close to, Mongolia or China, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, we've seen Asia get so strong at the last major and get so many spots and get themselves into a great position.
Yep.
But I think what we were mentioning earlier, like Henry just said, it feels like before the next major even came around, it's all fallen off, Bleh. So why is the Asian scene, do you think, over the years from looking at it, so inconsistent? Like, why is it so up and down? Why can't they seem to get just a consistent run when they hit these sort of peaks and valleys?
I think I just think it's exposure, right? Like the reason Asia took such a long time to really ramp up, because it was always like even during the majors early in CS:GO, it was mainly the Aussies. I'm talking about like a Chad's team with the Vox Seminole and Immunity. They were easily the two best teams from APAC, and I think it took till I think it was Skyred from Vietnam, and then maybe Tyloo in 2017, 18 when it started making a little bit of waves. Is because there was such a big disconnect from players who kind of retired at the end of 1.6. They never really played Source, never really played got into CS:GO early on. So there was kind of this lull or a gap rather in a transfer of knowledge, so to speak, right? So all the new players coming in, they're just starting from scratch. They didn't know how to play the game properly, how to approach the game from a macro standpoint, and it took a very long time for them to kind of catch up with the rest of the world. I think that was the main issue initially, and right now I think it's just competition, man. Like if you take Mongols out of the equation, because obviously they're traveling a lot, they're playing a lot, and also geographically they were playing in faceit servers in EU with like 110 and 20 ping. But if you're in China, it's almost not impossible, right? And then if you're Tyloo, think about it, like can you really compete with or scrim against or have good prac against? Maybe the Mongols, but they're traveling all the time. Second best team is Lin Vision, where sure they're one team. Apart from that, is no one else, right? And they don't get to travel as much as well. So
that is crazy, isn't it? The thing, like
it
the
sucks.
population of China and how big gaming is in general out there. The fact that Counter-Strike doesn't really get a look in. They've got two like decent teams. That just kind of still blows my mind. Like feels like there's money on the table there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is an absolutely big, massive user base, right? It's just that we need someone like Mara to kind of like, go into all these cafes or whatever and just pick players. I'm sure they exist, right? Because Advent did it with the core of this current Tyloo roster. I'm talking about Jam Young, Mercury, Mozia. He found these kids in, I think it was like, 5e play pugs or whatever it's called there. And he just picked them up. The first main team is Tyloo, which is crazy, right? And, or rather, I think it was Vici when he played with them. But I think just having someone in the right position with the right eye for talent is what matters. Because if you look at the third best team in China, it's Rare Adam. And the average age is like 28, 29. Like, guys, you need to retire and pick up some new players, please.
Bleh, just to like clarify for our listeners and viewers, how did you become such a kind of figure within Asian CS? Obviously, you're from that region, but like, what got you into CS? Where did you begin? Where was your journey starting in terms of talent? Could we get the etymology of Bleh and how it all came together?
Long story short, been watching Counter-Strike playing for a very long time, right?
Tell us when you first played Counter-Strike. Let's start there. When was the first exposure to Counter-Strike?
2001.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I used to play Quake 3 Arena Unreal Tournament,
Sure.
and then
Love that.
great games, right? Except people were really good in those games, and I used to get kind of shit on. I used to get shit on. Then I played Counter-Strike. I'm like, wait, I can actually, shoot back and kill someone, slow things down a bit. I'm like, I like this, right? It's a more slow-paced approach, and even if you're losing a game of Quake, it feels inevitable. You're gonna lose the game. You're just gonna sit out the next 10 minutes and just get completely owned. In CS, every round resets, right? And it's kind of like I enjoy that aspect of the game. Then my friend introduced me to esports side of things. So I was watching like old NOA, Team 3D, NIP, original guys. I was watching Spawn demos and stuff. So it's like that love affair started from there. But I never really took it seriously. I played competitively, like in local LANs, but in India, forget Asia.
When you say local LANs, we're talking about LAN cafes where people would meet up and it's like 20 PCs there, and you do like a local tournament, or actually organize tournaments like in a LAN, like in a
so
hall or
both.
something.
So we start with the LAN cafes, and then every month there'd be like these small little pay to win tournaments. You know what I mean, right? Like you put in a little bit of money, and then not pay to win. You put in a bit of money, and then and it's on Crossfire, guys.
And pay to win.
And I just played there. Then in college, played quite a few tournaments over here in Bangalore. And even in CS:GO when it came out, like I was still following the pro scene. And then in CS:GO as being a little bit more semi-pro, I almost qualified for, I think it was Cologne 2014 when Team Wolf made it to, which team was it? I think it was LDLC when they got disqualified. I think Kaylee was cheating. I think that's the one. No, it was LGB.
Okay.
They Olaf and Crims got bought out, so the roster didn't exist. So their slot opened up, and as a last minute, ESL gave a slot to India, right? So I think I came third in the qualifier for that. And that's when I realized.
What could have been?
You know what? Nothing much. So I'm kind of happy it came third. And I think I remember for the finals, I told the TO, I'm like, hey man, I'll commentate this one. I'll just for shits and giggles. And I had a good time. And a few of my friends were like, dude, you've been watching for a long time. Seem to have the knack for it. Why don't you do it? So I think 2013 is when ESCA launched ESCA Open in Asia. There was no like tiers, just open, right? And there was no one covering any of those games. And I'm talking about there was like old Tai Lu, there was Advent playing back then, it was Captain Mo playing, some of the Chinese guys, right? And even some of the teams from Machine Gun was there, old Mongols. And they were just playing all these open games, and there was absolutely no coverage. So I was working a 9 to 5, come back home, and instead of hitting the bar, I'm like, I'm just gonna, just cast these games, right? And
okay.
Listen, I had a great time.
Why not do both?
I did do both as well. I was sitting in beer as well. Yeah,
right.
I mean, why not, so. Right? But not being a complete degenerate. And I just had fun. I just had fun commentating. Just went for like a year, just solo casting. And a lot of people started to think of me as the Asian guy, the Asian Counter-Strike guy. And I think it was 2014, 2015, the Cologne qualifier, where the LAN was held in Malaysia. So I think... was Renegades there? I think it was Vox still at that time, and they won it. Immunity won it, and I reached out to ESL. I dropped a mail to Joe Miller, and Joe was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to have you." And my first LAN ever, and the first my first co-commentator ever. I used to solo everything was D-Man. And the second one is Jason Kaplan. That was a crew, a D-Man and
Dude,
Jason
I did
Kaplan.
my first ever major final with D-Man.
Oh, but there
I've
you
never
go.
commentated him before.
Like
so,
three.
that was crazy work.
What was the thing called? Like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So we need to have like a 5 degrees of D-Man. So yeah, that's kind of how we got into it, and then did a few more events here and there, and then I think it was Mark Winter from DreamHack who gave me my big break in EU, where I'm like, hey man, I actually watch more EU CS than I do Asian CS, honestly. So do you want to get me? And I did a couple of opens, and yeah, that's kind of been there since then.
Wow.
I think when you that's when I first noticed you was during those DreamHack events that you did. But you got the first time I met you was at the Face It Miners in London in 2018. Was in terms of your career, where did that land play? Like in terms of like how far along were you in your career when I met you? Because I obviously didn't know too much about you then.
I think 2018 would be the most important year in my career. I think yes, it was the most important, because till then I was just doing I do a lot of local events in India, maybe in Asia, but the only international events would be the Asian Minor, right, as was known back then, and that's the only event the TOs would fly me out to, because they're like, no, Asian event, that's all he's good for. And no one really gave me a shot of trying me out for other events, right? And also, I never really pitched myself as an analyst. I was more of a hybrid commentator, color commentator, or whatever. And that's when DreamHack 2018, DreamHack Open Tour, where, DreamHack got me. And then after that, they got me for Valencia. And I did a few more events. And as you know how it goes, the more you do, the more other TOs start reaching out to you. That's when Face It reached out to me for the major, like the minor as well. And that's around the time when ESL also got me for a couple of the IEMs. Again, the Asian ones, right? Like IEM, I think Shanghai was 2018. That's one I did there as well. StarLadder got me for a couple of events when they have the Kiev studio as well. So 2018 was a very important year from that aspect, yeah.
I've got a curveball question for you.
Ooh.
If you weren't doing this job, if things had gone differently, what do you think you would have been doing? What did you study at university? Where would you have gone instead of Counter-Strike?
Man, I'm an electronics engineer. Yeah,
okay.
I also
We're talking like repairing small devices or creating
dude, like there are photos of me in a fab plant. Like I was making the
videos I've seen of
stuff.
Indians operating on like power lines and stuff.
That's
they never normally seem to go well.
That's
electrical
engineering, number one, Henry, not electronics engineering.
Okay.
Uneducated.
That's the videos I've seen.
I went to college in America, actually.
I did my bachelor's in Bangalore in India. Then I did my master's in America. So I was actually designing. If I'd gone that route, I would probably be working in some like Intel, chip manufacturing or something like that. And
cool.
And that's when I realized I'm like, no, this shit ain't for me. It was just too boring. Like, just kind of like was very, I wouldn't say tedious. I enjoyed the scientific aspect of the job, but making it a full career was something where I needed a little bit more excitement, right? So after that, I did some marketing, I did sales, I did marketing, I did product design. I was also working in a company called So Strong, we're kind of like the Face It competitor in Asia back in the day, like 2014, 15, where I was doing like data analysis, product management, so basically a lot of things. So to answer your question, I don't know, because I kept flitting from one thing to the other, trying to find some place where I really enjoyed what I did. And Counter-Strike was it, like esports, like this entire circus that we do. So if I hadn't found this, I don't know, man, honestly.
Are you happy now, though, Blair? You think you made the right choice?
I think I made the right choice. If I'm happy job-wise, yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, I have other existential crises all the time. But yeah, but overall, no. Listen, I wouldn't trade this for anything else in the world. I think just
Okay. That's maybe too much, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Not you, but yeah. It's been a wild ride. It's been about 10 years doing this, and yeah, I can't see myself doing anything else or enjoying anything else as much as I have the past 10 years.
Amazing.
Right. Well, I think we should move on to start talking about some of the events that have just happened. We had one in Chengdu in China, and that was a really fun event. I mean, I didn't get to catch a lot of it at normal times personally, but
I woke up for it, Dinko. I was there.
Yeah, no, I caught the last game of the day most days.
I was at a concert and I still watched the finals. I'm just saying, commitment is a thing you could learn.
The games are starting at like 6
I watched all the playoffs. Don't worry about that. But when you look at the final, I think that's the main point I want to talk about. Is just Furia beating Vitality 3-0. Like that's
crazy.
An incredible run. We talk about Furia on this podcast quite a bit. I think we're very excited about the idea that Molodoi is just getting better and better. He's won an MVP
every time,
now.
bro.
That's
every
insane.
single event, he keeps delivering and going above and beyond. And he's done it once again. Another MVP, 3-0 in the final. He doesn't choke, and he's Rookie of the Year by my book.
Absolutely.
I think there's no argument. I think there's no argument about that. I remember like a few people on the interwebs on X being like, no, it has to be Kiyosuke and whatever, but like.
He had more hype, but he hasn't lived up to it.
He had the hype, right? Because Mulder was the complete unknown coming in, but you can't look at what he's pulled off in this. Again, the caveats are insane, right? He comes in as a nobody, joins a team, led by Fallen, a lot of expectations coming in, and people are like, who the fuck is this guy? And then you have him having to speak in English, which is something he's not very comfortable with. I think his first big event was that in Astana? I think it was, right? Playing in front of a crowd. Still delivered. In front of a crowd, which is crazy.
Home crowd as well, the pressure there.
It's even more, right? And then he continues to deliver, and no matter what happens, you never, look at Monacy this year, right? One of my favorite operas we've ever had, The Flash, freaking great. But you see him sometimes, that's dead. The kid. I like the kid. I like the kid, Ilya the kid's good, or Flash is good. But you can see him disappear sometimes, and, that's been a bit of a recurrence we saw him here in Chengdu as well. When have you ever spoken about Molodoi disappearing in a game, win or lose?
I mean, okay, sometimes he does. I think sometimes he does go a little bit quiet, but the thing is, what's great about it is when he does go quiet, guess who steps up? It's the old master. It's Fallen. That's when he starts finding impact with the rifle and keeps him alive long enough for Molodoi to find his form again. That's what's so impressive about this Furia team, that Fallen can keep finding these clutches, keep finding these crazy 2v1, 3v1s. He can still win them and provide enough output for Molodoi to get comfortable and then to get the game and the series over the line. Let's look at their run in the playoffs. They didn't drop a single map, Blair. Furia versus Mongols 2-0. Furia versus Falcons 2-0. Furia versus Vitality best of 5 3-0.
That's crazy.
Like that's a godlike run.
I know.
Like setting yourself up for the major. Good fucking lord. That's amazing.
I mean, I tweeted out, it's like crazy to say, but Fallen is in major contention again in 2025, which is
that's true.
I mean, if you think about how this year started, he was playing with Cello still. This Furia team were crap. They're going to every event. You knew they weren't going to do anything. They were just kind of there. They felt like they're just stealing paychecks. Fallen's still around. Yeah, I guess it's just cool to see them at an event. But it's absolutely crazy that they're actually a team that can now win a trophy, win the major trophy. They can win the biggest titles in Counter-Strike.
They're not just a dark horse. They are absolutely one of the favorites, 100%, right? And
what is it? 3 trophies now this year? It's
3 out of the last 4 they played.
2, Thunderpick, and
3 out of the last 4, Hank. That's insane.
Yeah, that is wild. What a way to set yourself up.
And also wanted to kind of contextualize this. Is this perhaps the most what the fuck roster change we've had to a major contender in a span of in 7 months, right? I think it was in April when they announced
Yeah, it was
Molde coming
April,
in.
yeah.
April, right? So April to October, it's been like 7 months, and we went from like you're getting the Akinda, you're going to be switching to English, you're going to switch to Rifling Fallen, you're going to get this kid no one knows about. Like there's a lot of question marks. Like everyone's like, what the fuck is this roster change to being a fucking contender in a span of 7 months? This must be the wildest turnaround I've seen. I can't even remember any other team has done that. Right?
I don't think so. I think you're right. Like at the time as well, they got so much hate for this decision because it felt like Yekindar was at the end of his tier 1 career, right?
sure.
It felt like he was going to find a home in tier 2, kind of like slow things down and kind of like move into one of those rosters like Fnatic or something that you don't really pay too much attention to, and just kind of be kind of like a middle of the road player for the rest of his time. But somehow goes into as a stand-in for Furia to help them out. It ends up clicking. They look very good. Molodoy seems like a world-class AWPer, like a little bit too aggressive sometimes, but like has the skill. And slowly but surely, they've built up into something that's actually now in contention, maybe even one of the favorites to win the entire thing. Like it's kind of unreal.
Well, I think the way I phrased it was the fact that there were so many risks taken by Furia with this move, right? Not only was it bringing Molodoy into the team, this unproven AWPer, you've pulled out of Kazakhstan, but you're also doing something that many people don't talk about, which is forcing Kesserado and Yuri to now communicate in English. They've been used to speaking in Portuguese their whole career, apart from that one time with Junior. But, when they brought him in, it's like, okay, here we go again. And will it be a Junior situation or will Molodoy really pan out? Then you're moving Fall into the AK, and it's like, well, is he going to be a good rifler? Turned out he was. Then the other risk, like you mentioned, is bringing Yakindar back when his form was dead and it didn't look like Yakindar was going to be someone we would talk about at the top of CS. So you take so many risks, and the likelihood is at least one of those risks is not going to work, Like you're going to find the negative side of at least one of those. But somehow Furia found the upside to every single one of them, and the balance of this team is absolutely perfect. Everybody's getting to play the Counter-Strike they want to play in the role that they want to play. And it's fantastic to see. And, it's something we always mention, Henry, is the fact that Molodoy, he can maybe be a bit too aggressive, but he's got the skill to get him out of those situations when he puts himself in bad spots. And he's also just learning, like that he gets better every single tournament. He's got level-headed players around him to make sure his ego doesn't get out of control. Right. So, I think it's fantastic to see Furia like this at the moment. And taking 3-0 against Vitality, that's the most impressive thing. Not even dropping a map.
We've talked about the good of Chengdu. Can we talk about some of the bad and maybe even the ugly at this point? I just want to talk about some of the teams that we talked about. 3D Max a lot before, Dinko. We said they're burnt out. We said they don't have much left.
They're very burnt out, aren't they?
It's another last place finish after making a couple of playoffs for the grand finals.
Here's not a hot take. Here's a lukewarm take, right? Here's a burnt take, burnt offering. Even if they're not burnt out, and don't get me wrong, flying to China and back, and China and back, and back to China and back again to the major, that is fucking mental by no matter what metric you look at it. But also, let's assume they never did travel. Let's assume they were just, playing in Europe, and maybe they flew once and they don't have this travel exhaustion setting in. Do you really expect this 3D Max team to, or have you seen anything where you can be like, yeah, they could be punching above. They could maybe be an Aurora, go for a deep run and make it a playoffs off an S-tier event, right? Can they do something like the Mongols did a year ago or a year and a half ago? Can they do something crazy like, this Furia run? I just don't see it happening. I feel like they are just going to be the perpetual gatekeeper, but they're not behind the gates. They're in front of the gates. Just, they're right there. At the top of tier 2, and they're not going to do anything much. So all we're going to see is them almost making it to the playoffs of an event, or just bottom out and have a bad event. It's just going to be oscillating between these two things, and it sucks to say because I do want to see a good French team coming out. I just feel like they've kind of hit their plateau right now, even with the switch ups, with the with Gravity calling right now, with Maka being more freed up to do his stuff. I just don't see them making any deep runs, man.
I would agree with you. This is a team that I think it's really impressive where they got to. This is a team that moved on and didn't have an in-game leader that you could really say is a great IGL, Maka, AWP in-game leading. Not many people have done that recently. And we've even seen everybody who has moved away from it. So I think for 3D Max, they just don't have a superstar player. Like, they don't have someone to take them to the next level. We've seen Furia, they tried it for a long time to be Brazilian. Took them going out and trying to find an international player, bringing them in that really took them to the next level. I think for 3D Max, it's hard because they probably did want to make a roster move at certain points throughout this this team's history. But they were mentioning how they just can't do that because there's no good French options. You'd rather stick together, and so the changes they can make are roles within the team. So you make Gravity the in-game leader, give them a huge burst, for a short period of time. But I definitely think the exhaustion has to play a massive part in it. You'd have no time to go home, no time to practice. It's just on the road all the time. But I hope that coming back to the major, this is where they have some time off on the lead up. We can get that 3D Max we enjoy watching again.
Possibly, Dinko. Okay, 3D Max, we covered that. They came in at the bottom of the barrel. Let's talk about kind of middle of the pack.
We're not talking about FaZe.
Okay, we can do FaZe first. I had a little roadmap, but we can do a bit of FaZe as well. FaZe, also last place. The first game you can understand against Mouse. That's kind of like, you consider Mouse one of the best teams in the world. FaZe, rebuilding, kind of working themselves out. But losing to VP, I'm sorry, that simply is not good enough, as Pimp would say.
And the crazy thing is, they even beat VP on Overpass. VP's,
yeah, right. Yeah, that is actually wild. The one map you actually beat them on.
And you get banged up.
The series. Maybe the weakest VP we've seen in about 10 years.
Yep.
This iteration of it, and FaZe can't get it over the line. Now with Jacob in the team, Jacob must be hating this whole situation.
Bro, I feel bad for Jacob because there's no way. You know what I mean? It's such a weird situation, weird spot for him to be in as well. And I just feel unfair for someone so unproven to be in a team which is having so many tumultuous changes. And also, Matt Brokey, he just came back. He had the honeymoon period, just an event prior.
He looked so bad this event.
Brother,
he was like one of the absolute lowest rated players at the tournament, right?
Rough.
That is not great.
Swiftly moving on.
Explosive and exciting AWP, that's rough.
It depresses me. But, knowing FaZe, I just want them to have another fun run, at a major. Because
I guess that's always available.
No, but, let's do a fun run. Yeah, I mean, every time you count them out, there's always a little bit of a rub. But it doesn't feel like
I just don't see that happening this time. Exactly.
All of those phases have had rain. They just, so they don't have.
And it's simple sometimes, So
yeah, true.
Well, potentially 100 Thieves have rain now. What do we think about that whole situation? You heard these rumors?
Yeah. Looking into that, I think it's a really cool offer for rain. I think it's
amazing.
It's also, he gets to play. Really. He gets to play for G2, then FaZe for pretty much his whole career.
It's kind of based.
And then you leave FaZe, you're a big enough player to bring 100 Thieves back into Counter-Strike.
It's kind of sick, isn't it? Yeah, he's the perfect man for the job as well.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. But what do we think about the rumors of the players they want to bring in, right? They want the Gamer Legion core, they want Towson, they want PR and Rez is what I've been reading.
Do they want Ash as well? Surely they want Ash.
I don't know about that. I have not heard any rumors on that line.
I mean, it's one of those teams you're going to be building from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's done that before, I know it's a very difficult job. So bringing in a core of players that have a system and understanding of each other, that's the way to do it. Trying to build a team one by one, it takes 6 months to bring it online.
Or millions
of
dollars.
The VRS system as well. You can't do it with the VRS system the way it is.
True. Yeah, exactly. So the idea they've got to bring in a core, I think that's the only way to do it. Gamer Legion's probably one of your cheapest tier 1 cores you're going to bring in. It's still going to cost a very pretty penny, but it's be one of the cheaper ones. And
PR has such an upside. And Taliesin this season's been incredible. And we know Rez has his moments.
No, it's a really good core.
I think they're good riflers. And then you obviously got Rain. But the problem is, it's just, what's been Gamer Legion's biggest problem over recent months is finding an AWPer. They don't have an AWPer for 100 Thieves, but at least they've got the money.
Just get Hades, but don't make him part of the roster. Make him a permanent stand-in.
That's where he performs best.
He just pops off every time as a stand. It's crazy.
Well, so you know when Hades is like a great option when you're building a new team until you find a better AWPer. That actually might be not a bad shout. Hades gets a couple of months in 100 Thieves.
Yeah,
fill his wardrobe up with some sick merch, and then get a new AWPer.
I'll just call Yekindar. Maybe he's got another hookup from Kazakhstan or somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, we have another tournament coming up. It's going to be Blast Rivals. It's going to be in Hong Kong. You ever been to Hong Kong, Bleh?
Once, yes, I have. Beautiful place.
What's it like?
It's like Fun Asia.
Fun Asia?
Yeah, it's like,
Dude, it can't be more fun than Singapore. That was the most fun I've had in my life.
Hong Kong's more fun. And I'm not hating on Singapore.
Holy.
I think Singapore is fucking sick. It's a beautiful city. It's very unique. The culture is amazing. But Hong Kong, for me, it's all of that, and it's more chaotic, right? It's got a little bit of that wildness to it, which I enjoy, right? It's like, yeah, exactly. So I think Hong Kong has so much history as well, and also the fact that it was a British colony for a very, very long time. but it's also part of China right now. So when you meet a lot of people over there, a lot of them do speak very, very good English. Which for me, when I was just talking to strangers or whatever, I was picking up so much about history, and I could actually interact with them a lot more, as opposed to, let's say, if I went to Chengdu or I went to Shanghai or something. So for me, Hong Kong, goat city, top 5.
Okay, looking forward to it. Looking forward to watching that one from home. Well, we've got Vitality, Furia, Falcons, Mongol, Spirit, Pain, Tyloo, and Passion Yue going to this competition.
No 3D
so
maps?
Certainly got. No. Funny enough,
Okay,
they aren't
good.
at this.
The one event where they didn't have to fly far.
Okay.
Exactly.
They can actually have some time off. Sorry.
Yeah, they got some time off going into that major. Yeah, but for looking at this event, I mean, you've got some of the best teams here. So once again, it's Vitality, who, obviously making it to a final. I think they're losing 3-0 after what was a great pro league. I think everybody, including myself, was like, all right, Vitality are back. Let's see them win Chengdu. Let's see them win a couple of trophies for that major. This definitely feels like a trophy they can win, because you're looking at the event. Furia, Vitality, they're the 2 top teams. I'm looking forward to seeing that we get a rematch, and hopefully Vitality can bounce back and give a better fight. But I think we could get another really exciting event here.
It's kind of funny that everyone's like, oh, Vitality, man, I should have had that. But if you really look at it, first, they've been looking like they've been back in form. They're looking phenomenal right now. Also, the way they lost his maps, where Furia having to fight back from behind in all the 3 maps, right? It was 13-11, 13-10, 13-11 as well. So easily could have been a 3 over Vitality if you think about it. So for me, I still feel they are absolutely the favorites coming in here. I agree with you, Dinko. I think Furia, obviously, the other favorites as well. But amongst the rest of the pack, no one really stands out. Not even Falcons right now.
Oh, come on. Falcons one of these days, they're going to continue their group stage form into the playoffs.
One day.
And it's going to be.
It'll be at the Budapest Major.
That's what they're
Nico's
warming
going to
up
win
for.
it.
Because they do look phenomenal. And
They look so good sometimes.
At Chengdu, they didn't drop a single map until the semifinals. And then they lose to Furia 2-0. It's kind of bizarre how they fall off so rapidly when they get to the playoffs.
Honestly, having 0 ADR in a half was fucking mental. I don't think I've ever seen that. Ever.
Yeah, can't happen again. Can't happen
It's
again.
baffling. And that's what I'm thinking. All the bad luck's been used up now. That's it. It's all gone, and they're going to peak at the perfect time at the major. Maybe not at this event. I feel like that they'll storm the group stages, no problem. Their opening game is it's against Spirits. We don't even really speak about Spirit anymore because they've kind of just fallen out of contention for being
They're not exciting to talk
about.
about anymore, right? It just
they're not.
I think it's when they picked up Zwei. I feel like when Zwei got picked up,
They lost the Magic's aura.
Yeah, I think they lost a lot of aura in general. That metric is important. And I feel like he is so kind of mid in terms of a player. He's okay, and he can have some pop-off moments, but I find him just underwhelming to watch and get behind.
I agree, but also I don't, for me personally, I'm not a fan of, rewriting history, because let's be real, Magic's, apart from the life game he had in Shanghai where they won the major over FaZe, apart from that, he's just sure, he's got the vibes and everything, and him and Donk are best friends and whatnot, but the amount of games he just goes missing completely was just too much for me personally. So for me, it was more about find Zwei, new kid, let's give him a shot, let's see how it works out, let's get rid of Magic's. I think it made sense. I feel like them sticking with him for such a long time was a mistake, honestly, because that's when they were struggling quite a bit, and then they swapped him out. Now the Tanir pickup on paper, it makes sense, right? Even though I think kind of like a side grade, I think Zontic is still very, very stable element of the team. But just looking at the recent games right now, man, the frustration, you can see Donk and Shiro just yelling at each other. I think when they lost to the Mongols, right? Literally just yelling at each other, oh man, a Magic's would be nice right now, Just
yeah.
I thought Tanir was the new vibes guy though.
Sure, but it's hard to be the vibes guy when you're a new kid.
And also, you're maybe not playing as well as you want as well. But I think for Team Spirit, it's weird because I would agree with you. Going back, they should have removed Magic's a little bit earlier, but only when Keisuke was on the table. Only when you got a player like that. Moving Magic's for Zwei is not enough of an upgrade in the server at all to lose everything that Magic's brought, which is all that experience and the sort of camaraderie that you see. When you're walking around the venue at an event, you see Magic's and Donk, they were just always attached to the hip together, walking around, best friends, laughing. You can see them in the vlogs, the Spirit vlogs. Zwei just, is coming in. He's a brand new player, he's a rookie player, and he has so much to learn and so much to try and fit into the team. And I just think you lose way too much outside of the server when you get rid of Magic's for someone like Zwei. He was just not an upgrade
But the promise was there.
So.
The promise was there, right? We were like, yeah, Zwei's gonna be kicking ass. And listen, even if you didn't have the camaraderie with Donk or the positive energy, if he was dropping like 17, 18 kills every game, I think we'd all be happy with that.
He's just, you know what he is? He's company for Chopper at the bottom of the scoreboard right now. That's just kind of where he's at most of the time, sadly.
That's true.
And I would very much like to see. I thought that this tier move into Team Spirit would be something that would just propel them into straight up top team again. Like they were just going to be challenging for every trophy. Now it just feels so mid. I mean,
that's why this event is so important, though, right? They've completely messed up the last couple of events. It looks like they've been absolutely woeful. I feel like this Blast Rivals event in Hong Kong, this is the one they really have to show us. Is this team makes sense? They need the confidence boost. They need to show us there's some synergy there. The roster actually comes together and can find some form before the major. This is their last chance because I can tell the morale's low. The team looks disjointed. You're relying on Donk way too much. Like, let's see some team actually, like, for lack of a better expression, some team spirit. You know, let's actually see if the team can bond. Yeah,
let's see if we can. Yeah, I like that. For me though, I don't have them being even a dark horse for the tournament just with the way they've been playing. I think I'm gonna go with Furia to win the event again, and I'm going to go with Falcons as an underdog for me personally at this event.
And Vitality?
When you say underdog, are we saying underdogs, people that could potentially win the tournament, or teams we'll find interesting to see what they can do?
I'm going to say can win the tournament.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to echo your sentiments here. I think Vitality, Furia, obviously the favorites, right? Should be the finalists, at least on paper. But depending on how the matchups go, I think Falcons would... Not the dark horse, but like you said, the underdog potential winners. I can't put Spirit there, man. I mean, you lost to Controllers, bro. I know he's a GOAT, but
yeah. Could you put them there, Henry? Could you see Spirit underdog?
I'm gonna put Spirit underdog, and I'm gonna put Falcons to win the whole thing. What do you think about that? I feel Falcons are gonna find that form. They're gonna get a monkey off their shoulder, and they're gonna find a championship here. A Tier 1 championship, not a Mickey Mouse tournament. It's going to be a real deal tournament of all the big names, and they're going to bring it all together. I feel like Falcons, if they play the A game and do not get too phased by the big stage, they'll make it to the big stage. This is whether they can deliver the same level of performance once they get there. I feel like Falcons, I'm going to believe in them to take it with Spirit as the underdog. So that's my wild card.
I'm so sad.
That's interesting because that's the opening game, right, in Group A, Spirit Falcons, right? So let's talk about that, Henry, in terms of this matchup is very exciting, obviously, for all of the reasons we've listed.
In terms of the most skilled players in Counter-Strike, World Counter-Strike right now, this might be the two best teams you could possibly choose.
Okay.
I feel like that's in terms of like Donk, Monacy on the server, Nico, Kyosuke. Yeah, I feel like this is like the most tantalizing match to open things up. It's in Group A. For me, that's a match you don't want to miss. I don't care what time it's on. I'm going to be there, whatever happens. 6 a.m., 5 a.m., even 4 a.m., Dinko. I'm turning up and watching it.
Oh, you're turning up.
I'm turning up. I'm going to be there because that's the kind of Counter-Strike you don't want to miss. It's not going to be the most beautiful Counter-Strike.
It's 5:30 a.m.
It's not going to be the most... How early?
It's 5:30 a.m. your time.
Okay, all right. Actually, now you actually...
You know, you can watch the highlights.
I can watch the highlights. I can watch the highlights. Maybe I'll just tune in on YouTube, check that out. I don't know. I feel like this is just a really... I feel like in terms of this sort of tournament, what is 8 teams here at Blast Rivals, it will be a very important one. Whoever loses this goes down into the brutal lower bracket. Could be the winner. This could be the winner of the tournament in this opening game. Spirit versus Falcons, Donk versus Kyosuke. Who will come out on top? Who will be the strongest rifler from that region? Who's to know? But that's one of the games that definitely is exciting everyone, I think.
I do feel so bad that in a span of a month, we just stopped talking about Mongols as a potential winner or a favorite, and it's just like, just so sad.
They kind of did that to themselves. We don't really know what happened.
We don't know what happened, but it's a rough time to be an Asian Counter-Strike fan. Because
because Mongols is
we've seen joy, we've seen glory. Dinko.
They can beat Passion UA though, right? That's the old complexity core.
Please, come on,
They can take them
easy,
down.
Yeah.
That's probably
they will.
fine.
They will. Then we have Furia Pain on the other side in Group B. So Furia versus Pain. Pain started to show us something. At Bucharest, they were a little bit more exciting. Snow has some different roles in the team now, and I think their T sides look better. Yep. They were pretty fun to watch actually. With Snow coming back in, I'd written off Pain Gaming after the major. I just thought that was it. They peaked in getting into the quarterfinals. Got to see them start off the second season of the year, and they were just really disappointing. And I was like, all right, we've seen the ceiling of Pain. That's it. But Snow getting some role changes in the squad is very exciting. I do think Pain could give Fury a little bit of a difficult time on a few maps, but Fury should be getting that no problem. And then Vitality versus Tyloo in opening game in Group B. Vitality should body them. Tyloo just ain't playing very well, Bleh. The Tyloo are done. Right now, it feels like
they're not done, all right. But it's been a rough time. I think they've won one game out of the past. I'm looking at out of past 8 matchups to play.
Sounds pretty done.
It's pretty rough, all right. It's pretty rough. And
they won a trophy at the start of the season. Bleh. I know. They won a trophy. Now look at them.
But I'll tell you what's going to happen here, Dinko. All right, I'll tell you what's going to happen. All right, the Major's coming up right now, and Tyloo are the second best Asian team we have. And Mongols, they've kind of, I wouldn't say dropped the ball. It's unfortunate circumstances. They're going to try their best to try and make a playoffs run, which I still think is within the realms of possibility, right? Depending on how Control is, because he played very solid, in my opinion, over in Chengdu. I think Tyloo are going to click right now. We're going to see G happy. We're going to see him having some ice cream, and they're going to be all great. It's going to be fucking fun.
So G and the ice cream gets a shout out on this podcast every
time, every episode. We did it with Moses last time.
That's what you had Jason last week, right? Or last couple of weeks ago. So no, I feel things are going to turn around. Maybe not this event because it's kind of brutal. But look, I'm looking at a group. Let's look at a group, right? Like it's Tyloo are with Vitality, and they are with Fury and Pain. 3 teams make it out of the group stage. I think Tyloo can beat Pain. On a good day.
Pain will beat Tyloo. Pain will absolutely beat Tyloo.
I'll take a wager on that, gentleman's wager, and I will.
Okay.
We'll buy each other a beer.
No problem.
Yeah, but Tyloo's going to.
Well, you mentioned the Major.
Yep.
We're going to move on to talking about that, Bleh, because the Major is around the corner. It feels like Austin was just yesterday, but we're going to be moving on to Budapest. Looking forward to that one. We got obviously stage 1 matches are put in. We see all the teams in stage 1. I think for us, I think we should just kind of look through that and pick out some teams we think might make it through. We mentioned FaZe earlier today, and you mentioned a miracle major run, Bleh. They often have them. Even when it looks dark and it looks like there's no hope for FaZe, they seem to perform at majors. We just all don't know if that's going to happen again. And I'm leaning towards it not being a crazy run all the way through, right, into the playoffs, which quite often happens with this team. But I do think they've got it in them to get through stage 1 of this competition. The best of ones are a little bit scary, but we'll see how it goes when it gets to the BO3s. But for me, in a list, in a field like this, I think FaZe have to be making it through that best of 1 Swiss stage in the early stages and eventually getting through those BO3s. So, yeah, for FaZe for me are a team I'm going to put through into stage 2 of the Major.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, if you're looking at, sure, it might be critical of FaZe and the struggles recently, but then we're holding FaZe to a very high standard of, of the players. Yeah, I mean, look at the players, right? Forgetting Jacob, even though he's a new kid on the block and everything. You have Frozen, you have Twist and Brokey, that core 3, along with Carrigan at the helm. You should be making the stage 2. I think there is no argument to be made against that apart from a choke of epic proportions.
Well, it's the best of 1 Swiss system with FaZe who are normally shit at the start of every single tournament they go to.
Hank.
There definitely is a conversation to be had. They won't make it.
Fuck's sake,
it's unlikely. They always seem to find a way, but this is the weakest looking FaZe that we've seen in some time. And with the best of 1 situation and the fact they are not looking good, I feel like there is definitely a case to be made. They might not make it. Just to put that out there.
We say weakest in some time. Is it just the weakest ever? Like, what's the weakest version?
They've had some pretty dark periods as well. I think we kind of romanticize all the glory they've had. They've definitely had some rough moments over the last.
I think this has been the worst since the beginning of 2022 when they picked up Robson and one Cato.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is their worst period ever because when they had the tough period, it was still like, they're still making playoff runs, it's still looking good, even with the Legion and everything. But right now, it's like the identity seems to have disappeared a little bit. And that's the one thing FaZe always had, despite some of the trials and tribulations in the past few years, because they had that identity where you're like, I could believe they're making a deep run in the Cato, Cologne, or a major or something like that. Right now, I can't say that.
What team do you think is going to make it through stage 1, Bleh?
I'm putting all my money in Legacy. I think, all of it. Like 5 of it. All 5 I have of it. I'm putting in a Legacy right now.
Of it.
And the reason is very simple, dude. Like, I mean, they had that run when they won. What was it? CAC. You look at the field of teams, and if you look at the field of teams have over here, they actually play against better opposition. Number 1, number 2. I thought it was probably kind of a flash in the pan run. Then I had the opportunity to watch them more up close in. Over in Bucharest, and they just impressed me with the brand of Counter-Strike they're playing. They're very, very tenacious, like super tenacious.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you're looking at, the best ones, as you pointed out, when looking at super high stress environments, when you might be, 1 and 2, I can see a lot of the teams on this particular list, all these 16 teams we have here, a lot of them could choke and the pressure gets to them. But these guys, for some reason, it just like they're able to just lock in and, and just get that win. And I think that's a very rare commodity, especially, amongst all the teams we see over here. I'm looking at a Game Allegiance. I'm looking at even your FaZe right now, or your NIPs, or even FlyQuest, right? So I feel like they have that kind of like a mental edge, so to speak, right now.
I think that's fair. Dinko, we commentated their grand final over at CAC. I feel like that's definitely a good word
All the
for
5
them.
maps.
Yeah, all the 5 maps, of course. It always is whenever I commentate one of those.
No one is when it's Legacy.
I feel like Legacy is a good show. I feel like that's an excellent kind of cool making it stage 2.
I actually think they're the best team in stage 1. I think they're the best team in there at the moment. I think Dumao and Lato are incredibly strong players individually. I think Lux has been showing he's a good in-game leader.
Bro, amazing plays from him as an IGL, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's fair.
And Sadzin, he can be an up and down AWPer for sure, but when he's hitting, he's definitely impressive. He can win and lose the maps, though. That's the problem. I think Legacy's map pool's looking pretty good. The fact that they can go the distance in best of 5s is a really good sign. The way they played against Aurora in that best of 5 final, coming back into the series, we thought there could be a reverse sweep from Legacy. That's crazy on land. A Legacy having it in them to come back against Aurora and actually push them all the way.
They almost broke Aurora, by the way. They broke them as a team.
Dude, I think that would have been it. Like if Aurora lost that in that way, I think that would be it. I think Aurora would be gone. I think they would just GG out of that.
So we retired.
It was a good thing they finally won that. I don't think Major could have taken another loss, especially in that fashion where, he's right there at the finish line. Legacy could go away.
Very true.
That would have been absolutely
He would have to delete Twitter after that, yeah. So Legacy.
I'm just happy Aurora finally got that done as well, just on a side note. But yeah, Legacy for me, I agree, Bleh, moving through. Henry, another team that was pretty impressive, that event was FlyQuest. You were telling me you're all aboard the FlyQuest train at the moment.
I wouldn't say I'm all aboard. I'm not putting all the money on it, but I'm definitely interested in the team in general. I feel like since Azza's joined as the coach, big fan of Azza. I feel like he's the perfect man for the job. I feel like taking over those reins and actually being able to relate the boys a little bit more. He's got the proper top-level experience. He's played Meta, CS2. Sure, he hasn't played the highest level in CS2, but he's definitely played it in the last couple of years. I feel like he's going to be a good father figure for these guys because, let's be honest, FlyQuest just hasn't worked out. Even before JKS joined, it has felt like it wasn't going anywhere, all over the place with roster changes. You bring JKS in, you think that's going to be the savior, the guy that's going to bring this team back to life. Hasn't really been the case as of yet. You can see the pieces are there, and they're very strong pieces, the best the region has to offer in terms of, I should say, the country, Australia. But overall, I feel like what we saw in Bucharest from them was actually, it was pretty good. They didn't make it to the playoffs, but damn, they were close. The fact they took down Fnatic, they took down 3D Max, it was looking fantastic against Liquid as well, if you remember.
Yep.
They were 10-2 up on Mirage, and it looked like they've done it. They're actually going to make it all the way through, and they ended up losing 2-0. But I think it was still a good tournament for them. The best they've had in some time. Sure, they came like 12th place, but at the same time, the games they did win against a very strong Fnatic right now, to be fair to them, Fnatic are looking good. 3D Max, a team that's burnt out, but still, that's a team you'd expect to put FlyQuest to bed every single day of the week. They managed to get some good wins there. Should have beaten Liquid. They lost in overtime in the first game, and they were 10-2 up, and then it was 13-11 in the next map. Lost to Legacy to follow things up, which is respectable still. I feel like FlyQuest,
finalists,
with Azza there, I feel like there's actually a pretty good chance they can make it to stage 2. I feel like this is the chance for them to prove themselves. I like what Netic's doing. I feel Inz is a decent in-game leader, and I feel like Vexite's finally showing some star-level form that we knew he had, that he hasn't shown for a long time yet. So I feel like the team overall, with JKS coming in and Azza there, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to bring together all the preparation and show us what they're made of.
I 100%
Well,
agree.
Legacy versus FlyQuest is the opening game.
Ooh.
This is going to be a best of 1. It's Swiss system, so you don't play either of these teams when you head into like the BO3s, right? You don't play them again with the book hole system. So for Legacy and FlyQuest, I think it's actually not bad. I think that'll be like a good handshake for an opening BO1. Like it could go either way. They won't have to play each other when it comes to a qualification or elimination game. And I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Those are two very solid teams. So I think that does increase both of their chances very much of moving through.
And a funny thing for FlyQuest is, I think the last 2 majors they played in Shanghai and in Austin as well, they went 2-0 in the best of ones, right? They were 2-0, and then it kind of crashed out. And I think that's when Azza coming in, because when Azza came in, I was like, they're just going for a vibes coach again, right? They're just recycling their old friends, like they had Urcast and everything, and they're not going to be having real shakeups. But he did do it, like, swapping around some of the positions, getting ins back to.
No, I feel like
Yeah,
as
a lot of
a,
rule changes.
as someone who knows him, like I wouldn't say I'm a friend, I'm an acquaintance of him. I speak to him online sometimes. I feel like he has got a very good understanding of CS. Like he's one of those coaches that's like super into it. Like this is his new venture. He's treating this like a proper career change. It's not a paycheck for him. He wants to prove himself as a coach, as a savior for the region, and can bring this team and elevate them once again. So trust me, like he is full sending it. He is making sure they do absolutely everything in terms of vibes. That metric is the most important one, we all know. But I know he is the one watching all the demos as well. He's got an assistant coach. He's working hard, and I feel like he'll have enough time come the major to actually show what he's been working on, and I feel like he's a perfect fit. Compared to Worldcast, I feel like there was a culture clash there. I don't think it really worked out. It didn't seem like that was the man for the job, although they had relative success at times with him. I feel like this is the real kind of litmus test now. Can Azza do it? And I feel like he's got enough time. It's been announced. It's all out there now, and they've got nothing to lose, really. Like this, making it to stage 2, I think, would be enough. That's a victory in its own right. It's getting to stage 2 would be massive for them.
I feel like even though the sample size is very, very tiny with Azza playing, because it was a Draculan event where he was kind of like trialing as a coach, right? And then he had a Bucharest event. But just looking at the style of Counter-Strike, right? With the way they were playing, or the way they're approaching some of these rounds and everything. Apart from the Mongols, I think they are, at least on paper right now, maybe tied with Tyloo, the best APAC team out there. Right? They've really gone up, because at one point we were actually questioning, if not for the Mongols running what Tyloo did in Lin Vision rather did in the previous major, would FlyQuest even have been able to make it to this major, right? Because it was struggling so miserably early this season. So definitely peaking, hopefully at the right time here.
Looking at the opening matches of the major as well, you guys got it listed there in front of you. But take a look at it, because I think for Legacy FlyQuest, that's a fun opening game. But is there anything else, any other matches that really interest you? I mean, it's BO1s.
Oof. FaZe Lin Vision.
FaZe Lin Vision?
That just jumps out to me, because, man, Lin Vision, here's a funny thing, right? Tyloo are the better team, right? Tyloo just the better team, Lin Vision. If you're looking at pound for pound, the way to play Counter-Strike, I think they're way more... They seem to have a better understanding overall. But at Lin Vision, for some reason, they always seem to go for the deeper runs in the big tournaments where they play alongside Tyloo. For some strange reason. Yeah. We saw that in the major, and they seem to have this bit of an X factor where they don't choke, as opposed to Tyloo, who for some reason tend to choke when it comes to making a deep run in any of these big events. So even though Lin have looked kind of miserable off late, I think they could really... make a few teams cry here. Maybe even make it to the next stage, honestly. I could see that happening.
I'll be honest, Dinko, none of these games are leaping off the page for me. I do want to see more of Fnatic. I mentioned them earlier. Not so much the lineup, again, the matchup against Red Canids. I feel like, though, Fnatic, this will be like do or die time. Just to talk about the controversy with the whole Cypher situation, Chikasmo coming in. Blame F, for my money, looking like the best Danish player in the game right now. I feel like they've got a lot to prove, and the pressure is on for the organization to show this was the right move. Just going to be watching them. Not a hater, not a fan. Just want to see how it goes.
Just watch it.
They should be like, if they can make it to stage 2, I think that'll alleviate a lot of pressure for them as an organization. It's like, okay, that was probably the most we could have hoped for, was making stage 2. Yeah. So for me, Fnatic just taking them.
Speaking of organizations, like if you bring a Fnatic, you got to bring a NIP as well, right, Hank? And they look. I know Exist. He had congratulations, just had a baby as well, so he couldn't make it to Bucharest. But ever since they've qualified for the major, they've been bringing out like the old NIP logo, like everyone's celebrating in the office, everyone's super happy and stoked. And listen, I like the players.
They're not allowed to use it because
it's too late. I know, but locked. But at least it's back, Dinko, and I'm happy about that. And I like the players. I like Snappy. I like Shush. I like Kaspersky's up and coming kid and all of that. But I feel like you've made it to the major. Now you need to start trying to go deeper and just can't be complacent and just be okay, just qualifying to the event, because they looked miserable. Despite Exist not being there, they looked fucking miserable just a couple of weeks prior. So hopefully they deliver as well, at least for me.
Well, best of one opening games. That's what's coming up here at stage 1 of the Budapest Major. It's a BO5 major final for the first time. Excited about that. Ooh. But not much more really to say about that, Henry, other than other progressive has been sick, and it should be a BO5.
I'm absolutely with you there, but it's already like people say like, oh, we should get rid of best of ones. I don't necessarily disagree. I feel there is some sort of entertainment value though in best of ones.
Sure.
I get it. Like we don't get the best possible teams and crazy curveball happens. But with Swiss format, one of my favorites to ever watch and commentate, best of ones in there, I do enjoy the drama and the heartbreak and the tension and the pressure the players feel. I think it's like a fun, unique element. I'm not saying it's good. I think it's fun. So yeah, that will definitely have to be rectified going forward. But think about it. We've already at what, like 3 weeks for a major right now, with the best of one format. So we've went to best of threes there as well. We probably have to reserve like 6 weeks to even get the major done. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So I'm sure like we will rectify it in the future, but baby steps. I think we should just celebrate the fact we have the best of 5 grand final.
One step in the right direction. Would you say you want to buy some best of ones, Henry? You know, if we had a counter stock segment, which we're going to move on to.
I would say I want to buy the 100 Thieves roster we talked about earlier with Rain. Not because I feel like they're going to be the best team in the world. I just think Rain is such a Chad and icon of Counter-Strike. He's the perfect man for the job. And the stock is going to be low right now. If we're talking like actually buying stocks, I feel like we have no idea what the roster is going to be. But that man behind it, and I feel Rain wants to be it. I spoke to him in Belgrade at about 3 a.m, just as like before the news even announced he was leaving FaZe. And I said, like, what's your plan, like, going forward? Like, what would you like to be doing? He goes, I want to be an in-game leader. I want to show that I've got the chops to do that, and I believe in myself to be able to pull that one off. And I feel like that's an exciting prospect, using all of his years of experience, super stable, super calm guy, one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet in Counter-Strike. Him going for the in-game leader role with a core that believes in him, I feel like that's an interesting buy. I wish him the best of luck. I think it's a sick organization to pick him up. I feel like they can do a lot with his brand and his image. Good-looking guy, very brandable, and I feel like there's going to be a great partnership going forward. So just the whole package, the team, the organization, Rain being at the forefront of it, I feel like it's a home run. Either way it goes, I feel like that's going to be a great asset going forward.
I'd have to agree with you. Now, Bleh, this segment, Counter Stocks, we buy, sell, and hold items or things in the Counter-Strike scene that we think are going to either be good, we buy them, sell them if we think they're crap, and hold them if we think there might be an upside, you know? So anything that's jumping out to you in the Counter-Strike world at the moment that you would like to sell or hold?
I'm gonna hold on to the Mongols right now.
Ooh, good choice.
Okay.
Good choice. That's fair.
I feel controllers coming in. It did look like a bit of a band-aid fix, right? Because obviously, look, I don't want to delve into what happened. I don't think anyone really knows what transpired there with Senzu. But clearly, Mongols scrambling to find a last-minute addition in the form of controllers goes to show that was a bit of a surprise happening, right? Controllers is a bit of an IGL for the region. Has been around for quite a while, having played with Mara back in the day as well when he was like a wee lad in the old Mongols lineup back in 2017. He's played with Blitz as well in Checkmate. So maybe the familiarity is why Mara was like, yeah, you're coming in, right? But I won't lie. I was super impressed with how he performed in Chengdu. Firstly, with all the expectations and the weight of having to just slot in directly for Senzu, because that's what he did in a lot of the roles, the CD positions, he was playing Senzu's positions, and he was delivering. Sure, not like superstar numbers, but still consistently, he was the second highest rated player for his team, I believe, in the group stage. Also, by the way, playing his biggest event ever with a crowd in front of him and still delivering, outfragging Donk, knocking them out. I think for a debut event in a team coming in as kind of a very last minute sub, I think he's done a very commendable job. So I feel like as, you know, after playing in Hong Kong, they're heading to the major, which he's going to be going with the Mongols for, I feel he's just going to get better and better. And maybe even potentially, is he going to be a long-term solution? We don't know, right? Maybe Amara's got another random 12-year-old kid who's passed 1,000 hours in Counter-Strike locked in some little cafe in Ulaanbaatar. I don't know about that. But at least for the major, I think Controllers was the perfect pick they could have got instead of finding some unproven rookie talent who might choke when it comes to the big stage. So I'm going to hold on to Mongols with Controllers.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think, obviously, there's just so many players out there that we don't even know about that are probably just sick. So eventually, the Mongols as well should find a decent replacement, if not Senzu coming back into the team eventually. But I think I'm going to sell Na'Vi right now because this is a team, this is an organization that have been at the top of Counter-Strike for as long as I can remember, you know. Always an organization, when I was a kid watching them, they would always have like a roster that could potentially win a trophy, would be finalists for sure, and now, sure, they're getting to a final Thunder pick, but then they go and they lose every game at Chengdu. It's just too inconsistent right now for this team. And it's not like they really have like a superstar player either that everyone's really excited about. It's just Navi right now for me, it's just so disappointing to see where they're at. Navi in the past, even, you had the likes of Guardian, who was one of the best operators ever. Then you had Simple in the team, you had Electronic. Now there's nothing really that excites me about Navi, to be honest. I mean, I like Alexi B. I like the players on the team.
They look miserable.
I mean, Mikaze is the best player on the team, and he's from the academy roster, right?
Yeah.
It feels like he's the star player, and it's like, God, lads, what happened when this kid's coming in? He's pretty good, but he shouldn't be top ranking every single game. Who else is going to back him up?
Have you ever seen amongst top 10 teams more depressing looking bunch of players? Like, as they're so depressed.
I think it's done. I think they know it's over.
It's almost like they just don't want to be there, right? Even when they're winning, it's just so
get
miserable.
Through this major, and I think.
Yeah,
I think just gonna break down and rebuild from scratch.
I think once the major's over, they will rebuild.
I think Alexi.
How about this though? We Frozen to Navi. I think that's what everybody's saying these days. FaZe are in terrible positioning right now.
Senzu and major. Frozen.
Senzu. Yeah.
Blade did start following the both of them. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, there we go then. Like, that would be good. Senzu and Frozen to Navi would be kind of sick. So,
I'd buy that.
I'd be down for that for sure. He's got experience. Let's say, people are like, oh, but Senzu doesn't speak English. Let's not act like you can't learn English, Like,
he can speak
Counter-Strike English. That's it.
He can he can speak CS English.
It's a different thing.
Bit's English was terrible, and when they went international, now look at him. So, I mean, it can happen. And
Simple went to Liquid.
With it.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So for me, Senzu going to this team and Frozen going to this team, I think there's just too many exciting ideas floating around that Navi just got to take some of those. They can't keep this roster going.
The question is,
I'm going to sell them now while they're a little bit, coming off the back of a final Thunder pick, going out last in groups. I feel like this is a good price for them, and we're going to get rid of them straight away now. And because I think it's just going to tank at the major. I think it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Do you keep Alexi though? That's the question. Do you still keep Alexi and rebuild around him?
Yeah, I would keep the in-game leader for sure. I'd give him another project, an injection of new players, new energy. I think Alexi absolutely has shown that he can do it. He's just not fragging very well right now as well. That's a bit of a problem. He does need to step up his individual level. But I think when you have this new environment and new players coming in, I think when you increase the firepower, that's not as much of an issue. And I would definitely trust Alexi to lead another project for sure, because who else are you going to get? Well, other in-game leaders with his experience, his tenure, his ability are available on the market. There just isn't really anybody.
True.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much it for this episode, Bleh. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything you want to put out into the world?
No, nothing much. Thank you for having me. This was fun. Love your work.
Thank you, Bleh.
Yours too, Hank.
Where are we going to see you in the future, Bleh? You got any gigs coming up? What's going on?
Might be doing a couple of online gigs right before the season ends, because amount of events happening right now. Might even be in Serbia early Jan next year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Like the sound of that.
Yeah, you like the sound of that?
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
A little Bleh party going on. Looking forward to that. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Bleh. It's been another episode of the Postplant Podcast brought to you by BitcoinCasino.vip. Join us next time where we'll be talking about stage 2 of the major, maybe some pick'ems going down as well over there. So excited to see how that all pans out, and we'll see how the major gets going in Budapest in just a few weeks' time. We'll see you guys then.